is enough said.
What's up, Heat Nation? Happy Taco Tuesday, you guys. Your boy Ernest here. Back with another Miami Heat Talk video. Man, I am enjoying this cold weather in sunny South Florida. Hope you guys are as well. For those of you that are not, throw on an extra jacket, get warm, you'll be fine. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, you guys. We're very close to 5,000 subscribers now. Together, let's go on another Miami Heat Talk adventure. Briefly want to talk about last night's game against the Boston Celtics, you guys. I'm pretty sure a lot of us knew this, but the Miami Heat blow the game against the Boston Celtics. We lose by 19, 89-108. Was a terrible offensive showing from the Miami Heat. You didn't have a single player crack 20 points. Again, Bam Adebayo seemed to completely forgotten how to play basketball. Did a little better towards the second half, but you needed more. You needed more from Bam. You needed more from Tyler. You needed more from Terry Rozier. You know, Boston is a true juggernaut, and they're showing that they're basically at this point head and shoulders above the Miami Heat this season. Now, I will say this. Jimmy Butler wasn't playing, but it's a regular season game. So I still feel Boston would have gotten a dub even if Jimmy was out there. I'm not saying I don't believe in this team. You've just seen what they've done throughout the regular season. Now, if this is the playoffs, when the lights are brightest, and you have a healthy Miami Heat team, I'd say it's 50-50. Because we've seen in the past, Jimmy Butler's the Boston Celtics' daddy. But, you know, it's 2024. I would really love to see one more playoff series between the Miami Heat and the Boston Celtics. But with that said, you guys, we got to talk about the regular season for the Miami Heat. We're 19 games in. I remember a few weeks ago, I made a comment that most likely when we're 20 games in, you're going to see this Miami Heat team most likely be 10-10. A few weeks later, what I've spoken is basically coming to fruition. The Miami Heat currently are sitting with a 9-10 record. 19 games in. But you got 5 very tough games coming up against teams like the Lakers, the Suns, the Cleveland Cavaliers, the Orlando Magic. You got a lot of tough games coming up. A lot of games that you can easily lose and fall way under the 500 bracket mark. Now, I'm not going to say that this season is over, you guys. The Heat are still at the 6th seed. The Eastern Conference is very weak. The Miami Heat can come out strong. They can actually make the playoffs this year without even having to go to the play-in with the way the East is doing. But when you look at this Miami Heat team, you guys, with a 9-10 record, ranked 17th in offense, ranked 17th in defense, there's only one word you can use to describe this team. Mediocre. Stuck in purgatory. You can use whatever words you want, but that's what pretty much describes this Miami Heat season. I'm not going to say it's a failure, but I'm also not going to say it's a success. Now, I will say this. If the Heat had a 4-15 record right now, I think a lot of fans would probably be happy. If the Heat had a 15-4 record, Heat fans would be elated. Getting ready to celebrate on Biscayne Boulevard. You know how we are. We're extra. But the fact that you're 9-10 and you are stuck right there in the middle, you're not a team that's contending for a lottery pick, yet you're not a team that's contending for a title, that's one of the most frustrating things that you can be as a sports fan. Mediocre mid. Because you're not a playoff team, but you're not contending for your future with a high lottery pick. So when you see all these signs, almost 20 games in, and the fact that this team majorly has been healthy. For the majority of this season, you've seen Jimmy Butler, Tyler Hero, Terry Rozier, and Bam Adebayo out there. You've seen different lineups. You've seen Terry Rozier come off the bench. You've seen Spo flirt with different lineups. But it doesn't seem to be working. Now, can it change? Absolutely. I'm not sitting here and saying that the Heat cannot turn it around. If there's one team in this NBA that can turn chicken shit and turn it into chicken salad, it's the Miami Heat. But you also have to entertain the idea of making changes, making a trade. The trade deadline is in February, so the Miami Heat have a lot of time. But there was a report that came out yesterday from both hoopshype.com and Bleacher Report that I want to talk to you guys about. Because they're suggesting that there are multiple teams that are interested in the Miami Heat star, Jimmy Butler. And I'm going to read a quote on BleacherReport.com. According to Hoops Hype's Michael Scotto, there has been quiet discourse in league circles about the Houston Rockets and the Dallas Mavericks potentially landing Jimmy Butler. The Brooklyn Nets were linked to the 35-year-old earlier in the season, but he's not viewed as a fit for a Brooklyn team that's focusing on developing young talent, per Scotto. Jimmy Butler can hit unrestricted free agency in 2025 if he declines his $52.4 million player option for the 2026 season. In June, Shams Charania reported for The Athletic that the forward didn't plan on signing an extension with Miami or any other team before his opt-out window. End quote. So, we know this, you guys. I've said this before the season started. This is going to be the final year where we are most likely going to see this run-it-back mentality with Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, and Tyler Hero. We've seen it every year. Heat fans have gotten annoyed. We've been successful. I've seen fans in my comments saying that we've had mediocre years for the last 5 years. Farthest from the truth. Because in the last 5 years, you've made 3 Eastern Conference Finals and 2 NBA Finals. I deem this build as a success. Yes, they did not win a championship, but damn, man, we had some fun times with this team. But sometimes, you got to be able to put those feelings on the side and look at the writing on the wall. Can this Miami Heat team win an NBA championship in 2025? Chances are no. It's very unlikely. Now, can they make another run? Of course. The Heat can make another Eastern Conference Finals trip this year. But then what do you do after that? Because a lot of the times that this Miami Heat team made these runs in 2020 and especially in 2023, you've let in a lot of the players that have helped you on these runs go. In 2020, the Miami Heat let go of Jade Crowder after that successful run because they were trying to go for Giannis. In 2023, the Miami Heat let go of Gabe Vincent and Max Strus because they were trying to build something else, trying to get different players like Damian Lillard. Last year, the Miami Heat let Caleb Martin walk. Not their fault, his dumbass fault, but still. You've lost a lot of these players that have helped you with these runs because you're thinking that you can just build other stars, which most of the case is true. But this year in 2025, we're really not seeing it. Now, you're seeing Jaime Jaquez have, games here and there. You're seeing Pallel Larson show a little bit of the fact that he can be a potential role player, but you don't really have anybody that's breaking out. Tyler Hero has stepped up hugely this season, but it doesn't seem to be enough. So does a trade for the Miami Heat seem to be imminent? Is a trade this year going to be the best thing that helps us out? Now, between Dallas and Houston, I'm all for a potential trade with the Houston Rockets. Because if you're trading Jimmy Butler, ladies and gentlemen, you don't really want to rebuild. The Miami Heat have lost a lot of their draft picks from trades. So what you want to do, if you're making a trade for your superstar Jimmy Butler, you want to receive draft capital back, but you also want to get young assets. So I have a trade that I think would work with the Houston Rockets. The Miami Heat would send Jimmy Butler and Nikola Jovic to the Houston Rockets, and in return, the Houston Rockets would give the Miami Heat Fred Van Fleet. Fred Van Fleet is a very successful point guard in the NBA, averaging about 16 points a game. I think he would work perfectly on this Miami Heat rotation next to Bam Adebayo and Tyler Hero. He gives us that point guard presence, that floor general presence. He played with Kyle Lowry in the Toronto Raptors. He knows how to lead an offense. But then after that, you can also get some draft capital, maybe 1 to 2 future first-round draft picks, and then put a cherry on the top. You can ask, I don't think Houston would deal Jalen Green. You have Jabari Smith. You also have Amin Thompson. Houston has a lot of young capital that they can give up. And why would Houston make this trade? Houston is sitting with a 15-6 record right now. They're third in the Western Conference. But they're not technically blowing it up. What Houston needs is a guy that they can go to and they can say, win this game for us. And as much as some Heat fans may not want to believe this, that's still Jimmy Butler. A motivated Jimmy Butler in the playoffs can help you succeed. And I'm sure Houston is looking at that Western Conference thinking, we need that guy. Jimmy Butler is still that guy. And with the fact that Houston does have interest in Jimmy, and Houston has in the past always had interest in Jimmy Butler, we've heard about this multiple times over the last couple of years. Now that Houston is having a successful season, would they pull that trigger in making a trade for Jimmy Butler? If Houston would give up Fred VanVleet with one of these young pieces and a future first-round draft pick, or maybe even two, if we can squeeze that out of them, I would definitely be open to making the trade. Maybe the Heat, I said Nikola Jovic and Jimmy Butler, not just Jimmy. Because what you're doing is you're trading a young asset that you have and grabbing another one. So I want to ask you, Heat Nation, what do you think about these comments from Hoops Hypes and Bleacher Report? Do you think they carry merit? Do you think it's time for the Miami Heat to make a trade, to change this team, not to rebuild, but basically to retool? Do you think trading Jimmy Butler is the answer, or do you think that this team just needs to ride it out, go through the storm, and just see what happens this year? I know we're frustrated, Heat fans. I know a 9-10 record is pretty annoying. But at the end of the day, you're still the 6th seed. You're still out of the play-in. And you can still make some noise in the East. So I want to hear from you, Heat Nation. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. We're very close to 5,000 subscribers. Thank you all so much for your continued support. Until next time, your boy Ernest out. And that is enough said. Yeah, buddy. Let's go.